Welcome to Miami. New York? Las Vegas? LA. No, we're actually at the True Stage Discovery Conference, and I am Ronaldo Hardy, your presenter for the next few moments. I am the president and CEO of NACUSO, the National Association of Credit Union Service Organization. And for the next few moments, we're going to talk about how you can be effective in reaching younger members. Look, this is a conversation that has been happening for a long time. I can even remember when I came into the industry, at that time, we were trying to figure out how to reach my generation. So let's be honest, this is something that we will have to do ongoing, meaning we're going to have to do the work to make sure that we remain relevant, that we do the work to make sure that we remain in the know of what is happening and what is expected, and we are willing to evolve and adapt to new methodologies for reaching new generations. I have a news flash for you. The younger demographic, the younger generation, Gen Z in particular, do not receive information the same way you do. Do not expect to hear from you in the same way that you may be communicating with each other. And a lot of the ways in which we do things will be viewed as being stale, outdated, and old, all right? And don't get offended, because listen, I have teenage kids now, and they spend almost every day letting me know how old I am. So it's a part of life. We all grow, we all get to our next step and have to do the work to make sure that we can remain connected to the generations that are coming up behind us. Over the next few moments, we're gonna take some time navigating what is it that Gen Z, our younger members, are looking for from their financial institutions? What's important to them in receiving communication? And then we'll take some time walking through the art of storytelling and helping you to understand what goes into creating compelling content to reach a younger demographic. I hope you are ready for what is going to be a very interactive session. I am excited to bring you on this journey. So come with me into a new world of learning so that we can reach the next generation. So before we talk about how to communicate directly with Gen Z, let's spend a little bit of time talking through what it is that they expect from financial institutions. And I know a lot of this you have heard, so it will be a refresher, but this information helps to guide how we craft compelling content in order to be effective in reaching the demographic that we are all after. So let's start with the very obvious, and we've been talking about this for a while, but when it comes to Gen Z, they expect a first-class digital experience. They want everything to be at their fingertips, everything to be able to work quickly, and they want to be able to operate all aspects of our financial institutions through their cell phones. I know that you're thinking to yourself, I am sick of how much they're on those phones. And if we're honest, we struggle with it even more than what we admit to. But as a generation, they have had access to technology much longer than we have. I heard a terminology in an article that I was reading that said, when it comes to Gen Z, we have to learn how to get phygital, right? So what is the blend of physical access and digital access? And when I think about Gen Z in particular and how they view the digital world, they view the digital world through a lens of reality. I don't know about you, but my kids have grown up and still like to play things like Roblox, and they like to go into virtual reality. They love the VR world, right? So what is digital to you and I is something that feels very real to them, much like what's happening around me right now. While there is a digital background, I'm able to communicate or demonstrate something that feels real, that feels connected, and it is communicating a message to you. Digital access needs to be done in a way that it does not limit this experience that a member would have in physical locations, but it enhances access, capability, and it needs to be cutting edge. The second thing that they're looking for is what we actually thrive in already: financial education. This is something that we do well, but we need to learn how to repackage it to be effective in reaching this new generation. Yes, we have access to the information that they need, but if we convey it in a way that they cannot consume it, it will not be effective. Experian did a survey that they put out in August of 2023, where they indicated that 74% of Gen Zers said that access to financial education would alleviate their financial stress. So when you're thinking about how to reach the next generation, it's not in just building a first-class digital experience, but also how do you create compelling content around the education, the financial education that they need. If you figure out how to get them access to the right information, you will have a member who is invested in growing with you. The next thing that's important to Gen Z is trust and transparency. An Edelman survey actually concluded that 85% of Gen Zers that took the survey responded by saying that trust in a brand had a major impact on their purchase decisions. So when it comes to Gen Z and them engaging your credit union, building trust and transparency with them is pivotal. It is important. It is critical. And you may ask, well, how do we do that? A lot of that comes down to communication. It comes down to information. It comes down to access. We have to change the way that we do a lot of the things that we do. Executive leaders who are tuned in, CEOs who are tuned in. Gen Z, they want to actually hear from you. The days of being in the corner office and not communicating directly with consumers, it has shifted. If you notice, even in pop culture, many corporate CEOs now have personal brands that they are leveraging. They're finding ways to speak directly to consumers. They are connecting with them on issues that matter to them, because that's how you build trust, through transparency. Maybe it's also through the tools that you put out. How do you communicate fees that are being assessed? How do you communicate your fee schedule? Have you done enough to disclose all of the things that will transpire in working with you upfront, whether or not that is a positive or a negative circumstance that could arise based upon the situation? Making sure that you communicate effectively upfront, that you are as transparent as possible, will help to build trust, create more accessibility, make sure that you are being honest. When you make a mistake, also own it and own it fast, and you will build the trust that's necessary through the transparency that you offer to Gen Zers. Another thing that's important to Gen Zers is that you are focused on sustainability and social responsibility. We are dealing with a generation that's very committed to making things better. So what part of your organization is focused on environmental sustainability? What have you done in order to make sure that you can participate in making that impact? Don't keep it a secret. If you're doing it and doing it well, make sure that you let your members know. You will do wonders for yourself in reaching Gen Zers by letting them know the impact that you're making on environmental sustainability, but also social responsibility. And I know that this can be a hot topic button because it could be interesting to see what it might look like for credit unions to be involved in being socially responsible. Some of you may only think through the lens of, well, what happens when there's a social justice moment? There are moments and opportunities for us to participate in those conversations as well. But when you consider social responsibility, what is your local impact looking like? What type of connections have you made in your community? How are you building relationships? What are you doing to make a difference? Remember, Gen Z wants you to be environmentally sustainable, or focused on that at least, but also socially responsible. It's not just about making a dollar, but it's about making a difference. This should come as no surprise to you, but Gen Zers, they actually want innovative products. When you consider the things that they are exploring during this time and season, there are things that may make you and I a bit uncomfortable. Things like cryptocurrency. Yeah, Gen Z, very interested in that. We've already become comfortable with P2P payments, person to person. That's something that they do expect from us. Many things that are being unveiled in the fintech space are things that connect with the next generation. Remember, the enhancement of technology and access to digital products and services are certain to do wonders for you in reaching a generation that expects you to do it. In the world of behavioral economics that happen to be accelerating in everything that you and I are engaging with, it is no secret and it should be no surprise that this next generation really enjoys personalization. When you think about experiences like Amazon or Netflix or all of the many places that you and I visit on a regular basis, they have crafted an experience for us that's personalized to us based upon the activities that we do on a regular basis. We have to be thinking through how we create those same experiences for our members, because this expectation is developing in every other aspect of their lives. It should be an expectation of yours by now. And if you think of yourself, because we are the same way, right? You should understand why they are expecting that from us during this surge of new and innovative approaches to reaching the new generation. Finally, now this one did come as a surprise to me, because when I look at the younger generation, it feels to me like they don't always care about keeping things secure. And even though they might not always do what they need to do to keep it secure, they do expect you to be doing what you need to do to keep them secure. Having the appropriate security measures in a time where cybersecurity is becoming such a threat to all of us, this is important that we're doing the work to make sure that our systems are protected, that our members' information is protected, and ultimately that they are secure. So now that we talked about what the next generation is looking for in financial institutions, let's talk a little bit about how they want to receive communication. And if I could just be frank with you for a moment, just as honest as I could be, this is an area where we could stand to grow as a movement in how we create compelling content that is going to connect with generations even, right? And when I think about this in particular, I think about companies like Apple, who built years ago for my generation, specifically understanding that if they could target us and reach us well, that the technology that they created, the technology that they built, would also reach additional generations. I believe that this is the thing that we have to do right now. Our approach to communication needs to evolve to adapt to what the market is doing right now, right? And making sure that we are comfortable getting uncomfortable, because much of what's happening from a creative perspective in communication today stretches outside of the bounds of the normal comfort of financial institutions. We are living in the influencer generation. So much of the content that is being consumed on a regular basis has a ton of creativity put to it. As a matter of fact, influencers and micro influencers are creating entire careers. And you may be thinking to yourself, whatever, that's just a hobby. No, they're actually multimillionaires that wake up every day to create content solely. So in a time, in a period, in a market where content is moving every day, consumers are literally consuming content all day long, you have to be thoughtful in how you are building yours. As a matter of fact, I already know you're watching me right now, but every now and then you have your phone and you've looked at it, or you've looked at your watch, or you've turned your eyes to your computer. Something is grabbing your attention. Messages are moving all the time, but the messages that are the most creative and the most thoughtful are the ones that typically resonate the most. So let's talk about what Gen Zers want in communication. They want it to be instant and direct, meaning when I want it, I can get it. And also, I want it to be straightforward. Remember, we talked about trust and transparency, and part of getting that is to be as direct as you could possibly be. So they are looking for information to be accurate. They're looking for it to be concise and delivered to them in a way where they can digest it quickly. And they certainly do want it to be instant. Part of the success of social media platforms is they create this on-demand experience for the end user, right? So if somebody enjoys the content that they're viewing, they can go and view it again and again and again and again. They have instant access to continue to consume the content that they do love. So as you're thinking about your communication approach, be sure to make it both instant and direct. The next thing they want it to be visual and interactive. Part of what's going on around me right now is to create an interactive experience that keeps you present, that keeps you connected. I don't know if you're anything like me, but it takes a lot to keep my attention, right? So taking time to make sure that you consider, how can I make this interactive? How can I make this connected? How can I create a visual experience that people want to be a part of? If you can do that, then you will be effective in reaching your audience. So make sure that you are considering that as you are building your communication strategy and approach. Next, your communication must be both authentic and it has to be transparent. Now, this is important. Authenticity is important. People can tell if you are being real. So it is important that you are not trying to force something. You're doing something that feels inauthentic, right? Or something that does not feel connected, because there will be a disconnect. I'll say it like this: I can only be me. In the way in which I'm gonna be me, I'm gonna show up as me, because it's easier for me to repeat what is true. The same has to be true of your organization. Whatever is true of you, whatever is authentic to you, has to be the strongest part of how you build your communication, right? And it's okay every now and then when you step outside of something that may not be normal for you. If you do that, make a joke about it. Like, acknowledge the fact that, hey, look, I recognize this isn't what I really do on a regular basis. Like, for example, if I just started dancing right now, absolutely not. It is not. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to do it. You probably thought to yourself, I wonder if he's going to dance right now. I'm not. It will not be authentic. And trust me, you will want me to stop as quick as I get started. But I won't force trying to be a dancer when I know that that is not authentic to who I am. I'm going to make sure that I leverage the things that are true of me. Find the things in your organization, find the things about what you're trying to convey and communicate that you can do in a way that is authentic and true to you. Be transparent, and you will make stronger connections. The next one should come as no surprise. It actually should make it all make sense to you. But one of the things that they are looking for in their communication is that it is brief and concise. A little bit different from instant and direct, right? So instant and direct, meaning I can access it when I need to. You are getting me straight to the point, right? And you're giving me truth. But they also want brevity, so making it brief and concise. I don't know about you, I can kind of identify with this one, because sometimes when I look at a video and I see that it has gone past a certain amount of minutes, I'm automatically deciding I don't have time for all that. and they are doing the same. So brevity is important. Making it concise is important. Making sure you hone in on your message so that you can do that is the most important piece. I want you to think for a moment about the generation and what it typically connects to as it relates to consuming content. If you think about what has been surging over the last few years, short form content has taken off, whether that is in TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. We are seeing the acceleration of short form content, and this is the most effective way to reach this next demographic. Making sure also that, as we've stated, that it is social media savvy, that you are building content that can live in the digital atmosphere. If you are only considering traditional outlets for advertising messaging, you are missing the biggest opportunity. We all know this at this point. We've been talking about social media for years. The problem is we have not started to take the next step in the type of content that is performing on social media. So just putting out your graphics, I'm sorry, that's not gonna do it for you. Just running regular ads on those things, it's not gonna get it done for you. Figuring out how to get content into the community that you are seeking to reach, that's how you're gonna connect. And when you go into the social media world, leveraging video content specifically is the way to do that. Another thing that they are expecting as it relates to brevity, conciseness, making it social media savvy, they are also expecting for it to be engaging and entertaining. Do your research. Much of the content that's being consumed on these platforms happen to be dancing content, comedy content. It's because people are looking to be stimulated by what they are watching and what they're encountering. And when it is entertaining, when it is engaging, when you have thought through how to add value to a person's day by helping them to receive information in the way that stimulates them, excites them, but also connects with them, then you have a greater chance of building the relationship you desire. Now, before we get into the art of storytelling, which is really what we came for, because I'm going to take time walking you through what the process looks like to create content that connects. We're going to build something together. But before we get to that point, I actually want to show you what the final product looked like for some things that we have created already. The first thing that you're going to see is an ad that we put together for Transformation Thursday, or we call it T Squared. It was a new addition to the NCUSO Network Conference where we focused on digital transformation and the acceleration of generative AI in the credit union industry. And we wanted to be able to convey that this was going to be a futuristic, technology-driven moment in our conference. So we had this crazy idea of what it could look like for me to be on a green screen, walking, outfits changing, feeling like we were in this futuristic environment. And this is what we came up with. Introducing T Squared, otherwise known as Transformation Thursday, a brand new event happening at the NCUSO Network Conference. Join the Underground Collision, Circle, and NCUSO Thursday, April 18th, as we advance AI and digital transformation in credit unions. Let's build the future. I don't know about you, but that really did excite me. It was so exciting to see it come to life from the point of ideas, so going through the ideation process, all the way through the production process of creativity, and then seeing the work that our videographer did in the post-production. The quality of that video was exactly what we wanted it to be, and it resonated in the way that we wanted it to resonate as well. This next clip I want you to see is actually just a snippet from the vision video that we rolled out at our NCUSO Network Conference. We wanted to communicate where we were going and what the future would look like. We spent some time setting up where we had come from, what we had navigated through, what the journey had been like, what the trajectory looked like. And we reached this point in this video as we are guiding the story that we knew that we were at the pivot point. And in order to make the turn into launching into the future, we had this bright idea. What if I dropped in this futuristic world and I'm driving this vehicle, a flying car, looking around at the sights that were around me and how dynamic they were. And what if I made a statement like, oh, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm over here in the future, but let me go back. Which of course, we're seeking to connect with the audience on the fact that we've seen where things can go and now bringing it back to where we are now. Let me show you how we're gonna get there. We had this bright idea, and for this one, we did not have a green screen. In fact, I was simply sitting in a chair. But with all that's taking place with AI, you literally can create almost anything that your heart desires. Take a look at this clip. I think you're gonna love it.
Please stand by for liftoff. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whoa. This is nice. I love it here. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm over here in the future. I can't wait for you to join me here, but let me go back. We're ready to take Nacuso forward with a bold new vision of fueling the future of finance through innovation and collaboration. We want to ignite a new era of innovation and collaboration by uniting diverse talents, embracing change, and delivering unparalleled value to our members and partners. This third video I want to show you was a part of a series that we did at our Nacuso Network conference this year. It was important to us that those who were part of the conference, that were in the room, had the opportunity each day to be engaged and excited about what took place the previous day. And part of doing that was to remind them of what it looked like. We also wanted to be able to connect with people who were not at the conference, create a little bit of FOMO. So we created these recap videos that we use both in the room for the conference attendees, but we also released via social media to accomplish two purposes that we had for it. Check out what the recap of the first day of our conference looked like. It is day 2 of the Nacuso Network Conference, and it feels like day 1 because this is the kickoff.
It's getting brighter. I've been up all night. You've been my world.
We're gonna have dynamic sessions today, great speakers, so come along for the journey. I wanna show you what it looks like.
And here he comes. Let's give a big round of applause for Hall of Famer Barry Sanders.
Hey, where are you now? I know that you need someone around. You know you can play.
I do have shoes here, there, and everywhere. And in case you haven't noticed, I have the Nacuso Network Conference shoes on today.
Here, all in mini branch attire, we've got the green pants to complement the green in the shirt. We've even got down here the Umbrella Man shoes.
Tell me you need me too, 'cause I'm not lost on you.
Come on, man.
The next video I want to show you is actually the video that we put together for the final day of our conference. It was a recap of that day, but it also was a recap of the entire conference. And what we were seeking to accomplish in this video in particular was to connect with those who had attended so that they had an opportunity to have a nostalgic-like experience, remembering all that had transpired that they loved, but also so we could communicate with the industry at large. We know our ecosystem is set up to connect with all facets of our industry, whether it's a credit union, a CUSO, a fintech, or credit union service partner. And as we are seeking to build a walls down ecosystem so that we can create the space where our entire industry can collaborate and innovate, we wanted to make sure that the message that we convey communicated that we had something that was inspirational, but also intentional in making sure that our story is being told. And this is what it came out. What a day, what a week, what a conference. To be at the end of what has been an incredible journey, to have now lived through my first NACUSO Network conference, both as an attendee and as the CEO of NACUSO. I am just so not only pleased with what has taken place here, but so energized by it. This was an amazing experience. So many thinkers, so many doers in the room, so many people being challenged to innovate and collaborate. And what I love the most about what we're building here at NACUSO, as we are fueling the future of finance through innovation and collaboration, we are seeking to build an ecosystem where the walls are down, where all facets of the industry are represented. Credit union leaders and CUSO leaders and fintech leaders, credit union service partners, even association leaders are coming together in this atmosphere to collaborate and to innovate. And I love that when the walls are down, the creativity surges. And we learn from speakers like Duncan Wardle why it's important to really remove restrictions, right? All of the things that happen to our creativity because of the boundaries that we have created in our minds over time and what no does to our thought process. I love that he introduced this yes and approach. And what I say to the industry next is yes and. Yes, we'll do that and we'll do that too. And we'll continue doing it until we become all that we desire. The way I look at it, there should be generations years from now that will be talking about what we've done today, and they'll also be concepting what they can do tomorrow if we are harnessing this moment that we're in right now. I think we're in an incredible time as an industry, and I can't wait to see where we grow from here. Next year though, we're gonna take it there. Now let's unpack the art of storytelling. How do you reach your younger member with effective content? The first thing that we do anytime we're building content is we make sure that we are familiar with who our audience is. And that's a no-brainer. I mean, when you consider marketing, we all know this, but it does make a difference in how you construct the messaging. So as we're going through this whole journey of how we build a story, do know that you and I are right now building something, and you will see what we've built at the end of this discussion. So for the purpose of what we're about to put together, our audience happens to be Gen Z. If we drill down specifically about who we're trying to reach in the Gen Z market, we're looking for a single Gen Zer, probably more around the age of in between 20 to 25, who happens to be frustrated with their bank because nothing that they want is transpiring correctly. As a part of this messaging, we're considering them as our audience. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you develop a relatable persona. So once you know the audience that you're reaching and you've done research on what helps to connect with that audience, take a look at some of the content they're currently consuming. Look at the personas that are connecting with them. And as you are building your overall message, your overall approach, develop a persona that will reach them. I'm kind of thinking about a video that we did for the Next Big Idea competition. And there was a segment in the middle where I actually pretended to be one of the judges. We were doing that intentionally because it was a competition that would be judged similar to Shark Tank. And we knew that that would connect with the audience that we were seeking to reach. Think about your Gen Zer. What personas can reach them? This is important. The next thing you want to do is make sure you understand what problem am I solving? And so if I'm solving a problem, then what story or narrative am I creating or crafting around that problem in particular? Remember, we are dealing with someone between the ages of 20 to 25 who happens to be frustrated with their financial institution because they're not getting access to any of the things that they desire, and they are wanting something new or different, right? Our approach and the problem that we want to solve, the frustrations they are having. What we're going to do, we're going to reach back to some of the things that we talked about earlier that they desire from a financial institution. So what if the frustrations they have happen to do with the digital experience, right? What if the frustration they have happens to do with a lack of social responsibility or economic sustainability? What if all of those things that we mentioned earlier were not happening, right? What kind of frustration would exist? So as we're crafting this story, knowing that specific things matter to them, we are going to set up our narrative in a way to speak to these frustrations and to demonstrate what the solution is to that problem, which what our line is going to be in terms of the one that we want to stick with them and connect with them will be, what if you owned it? What if you owned it? I believe one of the strongest messages that we have as an industry happens to be the fact that members can own us. And I believe that it will resonate with the next generation. It's about how we get the message out. Now, remember, once you have identified your target audience, you know the problem you're solving, you have the narrative together, the imagery matters, the aesthetics matter, the presentation matters. So make sure that you do develop something that is visually appealing and engaging. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited for you to see what that looks like. We are about to show you our take on what if you owned it. We've taken the problems that we talked about earlier, or the things that Gen Zers want from their financial institutions. We are positioning that as the problem for this consumer that's 20 to 25. They are frustrated, and we're going to say, but what if you owned it? And the whole idea is, if you had ownership, you could do what you wanted to do. And that is the message that we're going to seek to convey. The whole goal is for them to understand that they can own the credit union, but we're going to get them to embrace that by understanding the power of ownership.
Ugh, I hate this bank. Their app sucks. They charge ridiculous fees. No one will explain things to me. And on top of that, they don't even care about this community.
But what if you owned it?
Thank you so much for tuning into this session. I hope that it was impactful for you, that you found it to be engaging, that you grew through this conversation. And if you desire to contact me, please do so at ronaldo@nacuso.org. Again, it's Ronaldo, RONALDO, @NACUSO.org. I look forward to hearing from you, connecting with you, and I hope that you continue growing on your journey.